Illinois has become the latest state to pass legislation to limit the use of cell phone surveillance by requiring law enforcement to obtain a warrant before using cell site simulators, or stingrays as they're called. Here to explain the constitutional implications of this is legal analyst Lionel of LionelMedia.com. Hey there, will you explain to me, please, how does a stingray work?
Well, I'll tell you how it works, and let me also tell you this provides one of the most fascinating constitutional challenges. And this, Lindsay, of course, is my signal to hold up the Constitution in a dramatic look right now
well
that
done.
People will remember. This signals what I'm about to say is very, very serious. What it is your phone, your cell phone right now, every 7 to 15 seconds puts out little pings or signals looking for a nearby tower. What Stingray does is it fools a phone into thinking that it's a tower, when in fact, it's the fuzz, it's the FBI, it's the whoever. Now, your phone, unaware of this, sends information about your location, the device, data, and, this is kind of up in the air, perhaps even what you're saying. Now, what's happening is more and more states, along with the federal government, are requiring warrants to be used whenever a specific person is targeted, and also within 24 hours to have information deleted that it vacuums up. But here's the question. What a lot of people don't realize is that these corporations, this company that owns these IMSI catchers or Stingray, in addition to the FBI, require law enforcement agencies to sign a non-disclosure agreement, or NDAs, meaning that they are not supposed to tell anybody what they use or how they obtain this data, up to and including letting cases actually become dismissed in court if they were to be questioned as to how this information was gathered. So what you can do is, the first question any defense lawyer is going to do is ask somebody, did you get any information on my client using Stingray? If they say, I can't answer that question, you just answered the question. But Lindsay, here's what I want you and everyone to think about. Let's assume you and I are just law enforcement types, and we just turn this Stingray on, and we just don't get your phone or his phone, but everybody's phone. We have thousands, millions perhaps, because I'm not really sure how many of these there are. And with data collection being so incredible, and with supercomputers, we could have, theoretically, because everybody has a phone, a 24/7 real-time grid of where everybody is, what they're saying, what their data are, and everything that you can imagine. But we're not acting upon it. We're not arresting them. We're just collecting it and sharing.
Well, so the federal government's role, they have certain checks and balances, but when when it comes to local law enforcement who, under federal grants, are able to buy stingrays, etc., the rules are very loose. They can cast an alarmingly wide net. So these laws, how do they protect when local law enforcement is casting this net, as you pointed out?
Right.
In this, what are the provisions that help protect us from being caught in that net? Because God knows Secret Service isn't running around casting a net in bedroom communities. They're doing it when the president needs it, but what about the sheriff?
Well, what's interesting to note here is that you're also looking at new, again, he holds it up again for dramatic effect, constitutional issues. For example, you know that when you buy a phone like this, part of this phone, in order for it to work, is it's always sending out a signal. So the question I have to ask you is, what expectation of privacy do you have? Remember, a lot of the technology, a lot of the case law that we have is based upon the old phone, where you would pick up the phone, and you just imagine only the person on the other end would be listening, and maybe theoretically the phone company. But because of this new technology, and by virtue of the fact that it doesn't work unless it sends signals out constantly, the question I have is, how much of this are you submitting to? What reasonable expectation of privacy do you have? And will there be new techniques and new adaptations and new devices that have as a selling point the inability for law enforcement to use a Stingray? And you can bet that's going to be met with a host of injunctions and,
yeah,
the fun begins.
Absolutely. Well, I have zero expectation of privacy, and I will tell you what, the only way we are going to get away from this is by using styrofoam cups and wire. That is my conclusion, because I don't see this stuff going away anytime soon. We'll bring them back into fashion.
Indeed.
All right. Thank you very much, legal and media analyst Lionel of Lionel Media. Always a pleasure.